Hello, folks. So in this video, I wanted to talk about health, healthy food, and about demand, supply, and some related stuff. Right? Let's get on with it. So maybe I'll give some gist. I just wanted to say that you know health, like, there's not a lot of demand for being healthy. At least not like a pressing demand, direct demand for being healthy, though everyone wants to be healthy. How much they want to be healthy is the question. I think many people don't want to be healthy so much, or like they don't focus on their health so much. And then there are people who are like me who focus too much on their health. So we have extremes. There are people who don't focus on their health at all. They are extremes, and some people are in the middle, or a bit towards like, I'm not so focused on my health. I'm focused on living my life, being happy and all. So because of this, um, there is a lot of supply for unhealthy stuff, which actually helps people in many different ways, but also doesn't help them in many different ways. We'll talk about all of that, and also about demand supply. There are some companies that will benefit from people being unhealthy, companies, entities, and whatnot. From people being unhealthy, so then they would actually, probably even invest in companies or in things that ensure that people are unhealthy, right? So they would actually put in their efforts and energy and time to actually invest in businesses that help them ensure that people are unhealthy, so that they benefit from it in some way or the other, right? So now let's get started with some proper examples so that it's more clear as to what I'm trying to say, right? Let's start with health. So healthy food, right? Not a lot of people are looking for like a healthy food. Like, I don't think majority of people are looking for healthy food. If that was the case, it means there's a lot of demand for healthy food, right? If there's a lot of demand, then some business or many businesses would have noticed this demand, and they would have started supplying more and more healthy food, right? But then, there are businesses, of course, by the way. For example, nutrition companies, health related companies, pharmaceutical companies, and whatnot, who actually provide different solutions, products for people who want to be healthy. For example, they provide powders that have different nutritious food, say multiple different ingredients, say nuts, seeds, and plant protein and stuff like that, right? Or protein powders, whey protein and whatnot. And there are companies that provide products, say medicines or whatever, to actually help people with their fertility, with even more crazy stuff like having better sex, um, you know for people to be stronger, and stuff like that while having sex, and for people to be erect, more erect, or erect for longer duration and whatnot. It's just crazy stuff. And then there are companies that help people with erectile dysfunction and all this sexual stuff that a lot of, say, men might be concerned about or interested in. And then even for women, I think they would provide some fertilization related or reproduction related products for them to get pregnant or whatever, right? And then like I said, there are a lot of products to ensure that you get your vitamins, minerals, nutrition, and whatnot. And there are a lot of products out there, for example, providing you, say, seeds, nuts, dry fruits, and whatnot, which are generally considered healthy, right? Dry fruits, maybe not so much. I wouldn't consider it exactly healthy, because it has natural sugar and whatnot. But if you consume it in moderation, maybe it's fine. Okay. So depending on how much natural sugar it has and whatnot. And since it's a dry fruit, it has lost all its water content, so it's very much concentrated with just natural sugar. So yeah. And yeah, dry fruits. The other thing being, it's processed. It has been dried for a reason. We are going in a tangent. I'll quickly just finish this off, which is, It's dried for a reason because, for example, people dry almost all fruits. I've seen dry watermelons, dry mangoes, and whatnot. The thing is, one good thing about dry fruit is you can actually eat any fruit in the form of dry fruit, even in a season, in a month when you can't find that fruit naturally, because that fruit is not grown and is not available at that time in that location probably. So hence you would go for the dry fruit variant, right, which is processed and dried and preserved for longer time, right, which you can't do with natural fruits unless you freeze it up or do something crazy, right. Use your chemistry and biology and knowledge and use some chemicals, synthetic or natural, whatever, and keep it not rot, maybe, but ideally anything natural will rot, including our bodies, by the way. So a natural fruit will rot, so they'll just dry it off so that it can be available. It will be available almost all the time of the year because it's dried, processed, and preserved a bit, so that you can eat it anytime. So if a dry fruit is available like rarely, I mean, if a fruit is available rarely, then you can at least get it in the form of dry fruit, so that you can at least consume the fruit, the dry fruit, and get the vitamins and minerals in that. But you really don't need the natural sugar in fruits. Yeah, the body doesn't need sugar at all. Basically, is what I've read, and I strongly believe in it. Natural sugars are, and of course, it doesn't need added sugars. It may need the vitamins, minerals that are available in fruits, but not the natural sugars. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there are all these companies that provide these, but generally, when you walk around a street in your city or town, and when you go around places, the most popular items that you see in stores and when you do grocery shopping and whatnot, readily available food items, they are all unhealthy, right? It's either fried chips, it's either some sugar item like say chocolates, or bakery items like say pastries, cakes, and whatnot. So it's usually processed unhealthy food which is tasty, right? So there is a reason, because there's a lot of demand for it. People generally want unhealthy food. Actually, people want tasty food, especially, first of all. They want tasty food, they want food that actually, I mean, different people want different things. People most times want tasty food. They want tasty food because, say, they just want to eat something tasty, or it's highly possible and probable that they're feeling a bit low, or they're feeling basic, and they want to feel more excited and happy, and they're going to use food to actually control their emotions. So they will just actually eat something that is tasty. And apparently cravings is also a thing, so I don't remember much now. I did read about it, but cravings is a thing. Or they'll have cravings, so they'll eat it, so they'll basically, it's all emotions, related to emotions, right? People use food to regulate their emotions. A friend of mine calls it eating up emotions, right? So he says that he uses food to eat up his emotions, and he tries to not do that. So he keeps saying that today I'll not eat up my emotions or eat my emotions. Instead, I'll actually go and say work out or walk. So people like tasty food, love tasty food, sugar or salty food or whatever it is, right? And people like to quench their thirst through beverages, or they like to actually kill their hunger using food, right? So the problem is, usually tasty food usually is also unhealthy food, and it's usually also addictive food. There's a reason for that. It is not by it's not like like it's by design, right? It was not like a thing that just happened. It was not coincidence or anything of that sort. It is by design. It was by design always. It is by design, and it will be by design. So a lot of food, especially packaged food, is engineered in such a way that it is tasty, and to some extent has some healthy ingredients, so that someone can say, hey, this has this, okay, this is healthy and all that, right? But the thing is how healthy it is versus how unhealthy it is. If you compare, overall it will be very very unhealthy, right? So it's usually tasty, has some healthy ingredients. For example, it will say banana cakes. Someone might say bananas are great for health, right? So it'll have some healthy ingredients. It'll be addictive with sugar or something of that sort. It'll have preservatives, and yeah, I mean, and it'll have a lot of unhealthy stuff, right? So, but people will notice only the tastiness and some high level basic healthy stuff that they can get in other ways. If it's a banana cake and you think it's healthy because it has bananas, why don't you just eat bananas? Why are you eating banana cakes, right? Which has sugar, which has bread and whatnot. Why, right? I generally don't eat bread as much as possible, or even potatoes. Apparently, bread, potatoes, and a few other things can, especially when heated up, can form this thing called acrylamide. Is it? I forgot the name. Which can be tricky and dangerous, but there is no link that it's problematic. But people do talk about how that this substance called this chemical called acrylamide, I think, is related to cancer, but there's no sure evidence. But then I don't want to take chances, especially if something is brown, say brown potatoes or brown bread. Maybe don't eat it. At least that's what I try to do. Whenever there's potatoes, I do think about it. I'm like, I'm eating this, not good and whatnot. But yeah, as much as possible, I avoid it. Right. So yeah, I mean, if you want something healthy, just go for the healthy thing directly and not like some processed food. So yeah, all these unhealthy food is usually just packaged food, right? Packaged food is just unhealthy food, and the problem is it is tasty, and there's a reason, like it's by design, so that there will be demand for it, and there's a lot of supply, of course, because there's a lot of demand. And even if there was no demand, demand would be created, because once you supply and make people eat it, it is addictive. It's tasty, it's addictive. It's tasty and addictive in the sense that, let's say it has sugar. Sugar itself is addictive, especially the kinds of sugar that they use, synthetic sugars, added sugars that they use, is way more sweet than the general sugar that you get in your house, in the table sugar, right? So you can actually make something really really sweet. Or there are other ways to make it addictive and whatnot. The taste itself is usually addictive, and it's of course unhealthy, right? So now there's a lot of demand for it, because people are, say, sad, or they want to be happy, so they eat up their emotions, or they want to just kill their hunger, so they're hungry, so they just want to go ahead and eat something, grab a snack and whatnot. There is this ad called hungry, grab a Snickers, and then they have ads around how, if you're taking a break, take a break, have a Kit Kat, take a break, or take a break, have a Kit Kat. Basically, to say that if you're having a break, you can eat something, and you can eat Kit Kat, which is actually a chocolate. And then eat 5 star, do nothing. Basically, to say that just do nothing, which a lot of people already do, and then whenever they think of do nothing, they'll be recalling this whole advertisement or marketing campaign by 5 star, which is the chocolate, and they'll just go ahead and eat chocolates, right? 5 star or something else. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of demand, and the supply is being there, and this is for unhealthy packaged food. Now, there is also this thing, right? Like, who benefits by selling this whole unhealthy food, packaged food, right? So, actually, of course, the companies that are selling these packaged food, unhealthy food, they will benefit because they're getting money. And when people end up sick because of these packaged food, because I personally think that these packaged foods should be banned, because I mean, you could say that, hey, they are not that bad. Yes, if you eat once or twice in a week, or a few times in a month, a few times in a few months, say a few times in 3 months, in 6 months and whatnot, or a few times in a year, yeah, it's probably fine. maybe it won't do that much harm to you. But then when you start eating more and more, and there is no limit to how much you can eat it, and there is no control on how much you can eat it, like the company or no one puts a law saying this is the only amount of uh, junk food or processed packaged food that you can eat, right? Ideally, I think someone should just put a law, right, that it's illegal. And the funny thing that will happen, I think, is people will then illegally then eat it. Okay, just ban it, and people will still do it. They'll just do it illegally. It's like narcotic drugs. People are still addicted to it. People will do it illegally, but then I think the numbers will decrease a bit. But then there'll still be people, right? So who will benefit, right? Of course, the companies that are creating and producing and manufacturing these uh, packaged food, unhealthy food, processed food will actually benefit from selling these. And when people fall sick, right, then they'll go to the hospitals, right? They'll go to hospitals, they'll go to the health industry saying, say, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies to buy medicines, or basically stores to buy medicines, and pharmaceutical companies only distribute medicines to these medical stores and whatnot. And they'll go to doctors, clinics, and whatnot, saying that, hey, I'm unhealthy now, what do I do? And then they'll go ahead and like get a treatment. So basically, the medicine industry, the healthcare industry, or the health industry, which actually is supposed to take care of people, will actually benefit from this whole idea of you eat unhealthy junk food and whatnot, you get cancer, you get this disease, that disease, heart attack, and whatnot. You come to us, we'll fix it for you, right? It's like having a superhero who causes problems and then goes and fix it, and then gets the name that, hey, this person is a superhero and they saved the world, they saved the day, right? But then the reality is, the problem is they needed saving, or people needed saving because the superhero made a mistake, or like the superhero caused the problem in the first place, right? So in this case, it's very possible that healthcare industries are actually even funding these processed food companies or packaged food companies and whatnot, or unhealthy food companies. Who knows? I don't know, right? We'll probably have to check the financials and look through and whatnot. But let's say if I am a healthcare industry business and I'm evil, let's say, according to me, evil means harming others or not caring about harming others and whatnot. Let's say I'm evil, I would totally go ahead and invest in all the companies that provide unhealthy food and whatnot. For example, all the packaged food, all the packaged beverage, bottled beverages. I would invest in all the bars and resto bars where they provide alcohol. I would invest in all the cigarette companies which provide cigarettes, right? Assuming I provide a treatment for all the people who actually get affected by this, negatively affected by these companies. For example, smokers, cigarettes, so smokers, so they'll have lung issues and whatnot, or multiple other issues. If I'm providing a service for a person who is negatively affected by smoking, then I'll go ahead and actually just invest in cigarettes, like cigarette companies and whatnot, right? And ideally, according to me, all this should be banned, like packaged food, processed food and all, unhealthy food, cigarettes, alcohol. But the reality is, they just exist. It's funny that alcohol and cigarettes exist, especially cigarettes, when everyone says that don't smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes cause cancer, right? Smoking kills, smoking causes cancer and whatnot is something that comes up in Indian movies, at the start of Indian movies every time. And then there are cigarette companies out there, right? Why? Why is it there? Like, if you know that it causes cancer, if you know that it kills, the thing is, if you smoke one cigarette, it won't kill you. I think with that idea, people are probably just selling, or the people, or like it can be both of these, or like multiple of these, or one of these, or whatever. Of course, these companies that are running, the cigarette companies, the alcohol companies, alcohol manufacturing, cigarette manufacturing, processed food manufacturing, like packaged food, packaged beverage manufacturing, these companies, the owners, the entrepreneurs, or like the business owners, would actually be in connect with politicians, the government and whatnot. They'll have a lot of power and influence and money to actually ensure that they don't get banned, right? But the reality is, they should be banned is what I believe, because they are actually harming people, because they are providing products which are unhealthy, especially unhealthy when consumed over a long term continuously and frequently, and they're addictive. And even if you do it, like consume them a few times, you will get addicted because it's addictive, and you will end up consuming it too much times, and when it is too much, then it's going to affect you a lot, be it processed food, unhealthy food, packaged beverages, cigarettes, alcohol, or even illegal stuff like, of course, narcotic drugs. If I am a healthcare business, and I need to invest in some companies to ensure my business is growing, I'll just probably go ahead and invest in all these companies, including narcotic drugs, like underground gangsters, like all that, so that people who get affected by them, for example, narcotic drugs, someone might overdose, right? It's called OD, in short. So people say this guy OD'd, meaning he overdosed on drugs, like narcotic drugs and whatnot. So basically, if I am evil and if I'm a healthcare company, I would just go ahead and invest in all the bad companies that provide bad food products, unhealthy food products, which consumed over a long term can just be crazy for someone's health. And not just like, like medicine companies or pharmaceutical companies or hospitals, but even health insurance companies can do this. For example, I think health insurance companies, I'm guessing, let's see, how can health insurance companies benefit from people falling ill, right? Generally, when you fall ill, you go and try to take insurance, but then I mean, you already have insurance. um, Actually, for ill people, insurance is costlier, or you won't even get insurance. If you're old or if you're ill, it's harder to get insurance. If you're young, you can easily get insurance, right? But if you're old or if you're already ill and you declare that you're ill, let's say you have some health issues, or you have had health issues and whatnot. If you have had health issues, for example, say a heart attack, or if you've had cancer or something, or if you have currently cancer, then there will be some break period after which only after that your insurance will be valid. Till then, they'll say it's like a cool down period or cooling period, something like that, right? Or it won't even be available, right? So yeah, I mean, if you are unhealthy, it's costlier to get health insurance, or it's impossible. If it's just about costlier, then if I'm a health insurance company, I'll go ahead and just invest in all the companies that are making people unhealthy, right? If I am evil and if I'm a health insurance company, right? And then, who else benefits from people falling ill and people falling sick and dying and whatnot, right? Like say other countries, right? Other nations, if they want to kill people in another country, they can simply just invest in all these companies and ensure that some people will die slowly someday, right? Kind of like a Thanos move, I think, like Thanos from Avengers. Um, I mean, this is similar, or like almost. I mean, though it's not exactly, but I would actually, uh, parallelly relate this to something like spreading an illness. For example, I'm assuming, or I hope so, that spreading an illness, a disease, is actually illegal. I hope so. I have not read about it, but I think it will be illegal, because it's kind of like a bio war. For example, a lot of people said COVID, basically coronavirus, was actually synthesized, and it was actually something that was created and spread out, and like intentionally spread out or whatever, and hence it's a bio war or whatever. Right? So basically, people killing people in other nations like this, this will actually cause a war situation like thing of sorts, but not exactly a war, because everyone thinks it's just some disease that has just spread. Though the reality is it's affecting a lot of people, businesses, economics, and whatnot. It actually hinders the growth of a group of people or a nation and whatnot, right? Depending on how widespread the virus is and whatnot, or multiple nations, it can hinder the growth of multiple nations. And let's say if you're a company and you have a rival company and you want to destroy that company, you basically simply just do things like ensure that that company becomes unhealthy. For example, you can invest in unhealthy food companies that actually serve those other companies. If you're company A and there is company B, you want to ensure that company B doesn't succeed. Let's say I am the company A, like I am some company, and I want company B to not succeed or fail, right? And if I'm evil, then what will I do? Like I can basically just go ahead and invest in food companies, beverage companies that actually provide food and beverages. I can tell these food companies and beverage companies to basically just provide food and beverage at a very low cost, right? And that I will bear the costs for the discounting of price, and that they just provide packaged food, unhealthy food, addictive food, right? Processed food, and that's it. The company will actually get these vendors who provide food, who supply food, and it will all be unhealthy food and whatnot. And there's a lot of demand, as we know, and the company B's people, the employees will eat it, they'll fall sick or whatever, and it will just at some point affect the whole company when more and more people fall sick and whatnot, or become less and less effective because they are actually getting hindered by bad food, right? So yeah, I mean, if you want to destroy a nation, if you want to destroy a company, if you want to just negatively harm a group of people, you basically just poison what they consume. Either an immediate poison that takes immediate effect, or a slow poison. For example, all these bad products out there in the world which actually kill a person slowly but steadily when it is consumed in uh, good frequency. For example, cigarettes, alcohol, unhealthy food, bad food, processed food, and whatnot, right? So yeah, I mean, it's all about demand supply, and there can be companies, nations who are actually being evil and trying to take advantage of the situation, and wherein there is a lot of demand for something, and hence, a demand for something, say processed food, unhealthy food, and hence the supply and whatnot. Or like for example, there is supply, they want to create demand, somehow they'll do it. Okay, I'm blabbering, wait a minute, let me try to bring in my thoughts, like clear up my thoughts, one moment. Before giving in more examples, I just want to say that about demand and supply, people can create demand, people can create, I mean, supply is not hard, you just get investment and then supply more food, more beverages and all. How do you create demand? For example, there was this movie called Sherlock Holmes, I think Game of Shadows, right? So here in this movie, the evil guy, right, he actually um manufactures a lot of armories, right? A lot of like war weapons, right? Guns, tanks, and whatnot, multiple things, missiles and whatnot, right? Now he wants to sell it to nations, all the nations or multiple nations. Now, when will a nation actually invest in buying armory, buying weaponry, right? So arms, when will they buy arms and weapons, right? Well, they'll buy it when they need it, when they have a war situation, right? So what this evil guy does is, in a world level party, basically where world leaders are meeting up in a party, he actually nabs and kidnaps a world leader, and then creates. Basically, his idea is, if one world leader kills another world leader, there will be a war. Now, how do you make one world leader kill another world leader? You can either threaten this world leader and whatnot, manipulate them, or you have full control over the world leader. For example, in this case, what he would do is he would actually kidnap the world leader, one of the world leaders, and then he would actually create one more guy. I mean, he would actually get one more guy, and he would do plastic surgery on him, who would look and make him look like the world leader that he kidnapped, right? So now he has basically created a clone of the world leader, and he has full control of this clone, because like after face surgery, now He looks like a world leader, and now he's attending this party, and he picks up a gun and shoots or tries to shoot and whatnot. The idea being, now when two world leaders are basically in a party and one of them kills the other one, it's gonna end up in a war situation, and this will lead to the nations buying arms and weapons from any and all companies. And if you are the only company, arms and weapons company, that has a lot of supply, then it will be you, right? So basically you create a demand. Then in the case of unhealthy food, there is already demand for unhealthy food, right? So yeah, I mean, you just need to supply, and that's it, you're good to go. And especially if you just start supplying, it automatically demand will get created, because it's addictive food, right? So it's all about science. They ensure that it's addictive. Like if something is man-made, it's and if it's a business, it's highly possible that it's addictive, right? So for example, I've heard of watermelons, which are natural stuff, but then uh, people can inject sugar syrups into it so that it's more sweet. Why? Well, people ask for very sweet watermelons. They ask, is this a good watermelon? When they ask, is this good, the meaning of good for them is not, is it nutritious, is it healthy? No, they're asking basically, will this be tasty, will this be sweet, is what they're asking for, right? Will this be fresh? That's all. They're not asking, will this be healthy for me, will this have enough nutrients, does this have anything bad and whatnot. Well, watermelon is actually a very very highly concentrated natural sugar fruit. I mean, compared to other fruits, watermelon, grapes, and all have more natural sugar, right? That's why they taste very sweet. Anything that tastes sweet is actually going to have sugar. In some form, it's either natural sugar or synthetic sugar. That's all, right? But it does have sugar, is the thing, right? So same for if something tastes salty. For example, my mucus, my nose, the gooey thing comes out from your nose when you're having a cold, when you're having a running nose, that is salty because it has a salt. So just with taste, you can actually tell if what is there in this thing. What is it, like, for example, is it something sweet? Okay, does it have sugar? Then probably it does. Probably, is it salty? Does it have salt in it? It does probably, right? So you can actually taste something and find out what is there in it, especially sugar and salt, right? Our taste buds are really good. If it's very very sensitive, I think you'll find out a lot of ingredients of a food item just by tasting it, right? And the craziest thing is, a lot of food items have ingredients which are literally just synthesized chemicals, which are also bad for you, right? And unnecessary for you. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, people also have to understand that they can't keep asking for something that doesn't make sense. For example, you can't say, hey, I want my watermelon to be very very sugary or very very tasty. Well, a naturally occurring watermelon, if it's only tasty to this extent, and your expectation is this extent, at some point, the supply people, the companies that are growing watermelons, will end up having to cater to your needs and your asks and requests, and end up ensuring that somehow, either through sugar syrups or some hybrid watermelon or whatever, do something unnatural and end up making it more tasty just because you asked for it, right? The customer, there is a demand, right? So yeah, I mean, we as people should understand demand, supply, who benefits from us eating unhealthy food, from us falling sick. Whenever something happens, right, simply think about who benefits from this, right? That's all. And a lot of times it is very possible that there are actually some people, bad people involved, though maybe most cases that might not be the case. For example, is it possible for health companies, say hospitals and whatnot, say pharmaceutical industries, any medical industry, is it possible that they are actually funding processed food companies, unhealthy food companies, packaged food and packaged beverage companies? Most probably not. I don't know. But if they are, if they are actually funding them, I won't be surprised, because these companies that are providing packaged food, unhealthy food, packaged drinks, and all, basically people will end up sick, people will end up being ill, and they'll end up in hospitals, end up getting medicines and whatnot. So, of course, the healthcare industry will benefit by funding very little and getting back a lot of return, because people spend a lot of money on their medical bills. So yeah, just look at demand, supply, healthy food, unhealthy food, who can benefit from what, who has skin in the game and whatnot. Businesses generally are looking to just make money and have a profit a lot of times. So just don't think that they want you to be healthy. Not all companies will be like that. So they'll probably just want to make money off of you. So be very, very careful, because they're probably luring you into their trap of addictive food, which is pretty addictive and causes addiction because it has sugar or something tasty, and hence the addiction and addictive, behavior of the food or property of the food. So yeah, that's all I had for this video, talking about health, demand, supply, and stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.